Okay, so today we're gonna go over what makes your feet stink. No, I'm just kidding. I would like to show off my Darn Tough socks. Not because they're a sponsor, but because they cost like 20 bucks a pair or something, but they're amazing. They last a really long time. What we are going to discuss today is, oh, one of my monitors went off. The shoes that I wear and why. So some people know New Balance for having shoes in wide, and I learned the importance of finding a good fit, including needing to go wide, and I found that not in New Balance, but in ASICS. And so I'm gonna go over, a little bit of that experience and, 3 different models of shoe. So New Balance, I had difficulties getting the same shoe in the same size, like year to year, 6 months to 6 months, and it fitting properly. So they would change their, styles, but also the sizing did not feel consistent. And I was a little frustrated, and then I found out ASICS does wides. And what I was looking for was like a $30 to $50 shoe, give or take, that I could beat up and replace, go through like 2 pairs a year, potentially if need be, but would give me good grip, whether it's like shoveling snow or something, or oil spills or whatever, or just a plain nice flat concrete floor in the warehouse, but also if they got a little wet or something, like they were a little breathable, so it wouldn't be a disaster zone, you know what I mean? And these are trail running or hiking shoes, and so I discovered them with this model. This is the 5th generation. Yeah, so this is the ASICS Men's Gel Venture 5 running shoe. And these had a little bit of discomfort in the pinky toe area around here and big toe area around here. They use this material that it just like kind of constrained things. And then I don't remember the wear patterns on these because they're so old at this point, but so hold on, we'll put the newest ones. I did this video because I'm about to start trying to break in the newest ones, and I double checked and found that I still have one final pair of the number 5s. So the number 5s are good. I like the improvement to the number 6s. So what changed? A lot of it was the same. If you look like the toe area, right? They still had that spot that'll eventually come up. They still had this similar design here, but they got rid of some of the, that's really hard. This is really hard. They got rid of some of these harder components, and they got rid of the, like nylon, like belt material or webbing material. You'll see that. And went with just this, suede or faux suede or whatever. And they, try to keep this similar, like kind of color profile here, or like design or what have you. But it's just, one material. It's not differentiated. So you could jump to the conclusion that, they're like cheapening out or something, but they changed certain areas, like the back of the shoe, instead of making that so complicated. They reinforced it with this, like Cadora or whatever, this nylon. It's really durable, which was not on the previous model, right? It's just the mesh underneath. And they, brought that around similarly, but, you know, it's just simplified, right? So you still have the support. It's just, you know, this one's a little more like less constraining, I guess, right? And so the issue I had with these, I actually can't show you on the pair that I brought today because I noticed something at my house that I had two pairs that were worn. It looked like about an equal amount, and I had busted out this section in one of them and this section in the other. So I grabbed one shoe from each pair today come to work, and so this is the wear spot, and so on one pair of these I tried, I think it might be this pair, no, but I tried putting some clear caulk, maybe, yeah, no, it was this pair, and letting it like kind of soak into the fabric some to reinforce it to see if it would last longer, and it didn't, you know. I don't think so, at least. And I messed with like the lacings a little bit over the time, but if you look at the old ones, the lacing didn't change. It's just like, you know, rounded, you know, nylon shell or whatever. There is this weird aspect to it, that like gray bit or that orange bit. It is like a different kind of material. It's a little stronger, but it's like the same kind of lacing. It'll hold up longer than your shoe, and so they also got rid of one of the lacing holes. You can't go back quite as far, but that's fine. Great shoes. The hook I use sometimes, but a lot of times I just kind of force my foot into them, and that counter, the heel counter, you know, holds up pretty well. Like, it'll start to crunch some, but for the most part it holds up pretty well. There's one shoe, maybe it's this one, maybe it's one at home, where it did get beat up so much that it, you know, sort of feel a little awkward. And then I also am hard on my shoe because when I pull them off, I'll step on one, and then sometimes I'll use my heel to, you know, try to kick something loose or whatever. So that's why that's torn up. But I've never had issues with the soles coming undone on these ones. The previous ones, I don't recall a particular issue. The tread pattern changed as well. This one definitely holds some mud, unfortunately. It's not terrible like my boots, but it's not ideal. I don't recall the number 5s having any issues. I think this spot. But so, yeah, there's some big differences. Overall, very similar kind of approach to the uppers, and the midsole and everything. You know, there's this kind of hard plate here, hard rubber or whatever, not a plate. They had that here. It was designed different. They, you know, simplified that. But so now we're going to move on to the latest that I'm going to start breaking in today. And I haven't really taken a good look at these, except a little bit online when I ordered them. So let's see here. They brought back that, which is cool. They brought that back. They kept with this, you know, one fabric, you know, so they have that similar design, aesthetic, right? Where it swoops back. It's like the ASICS thing or something, I guess, branding. But it's still just, you know, this like faux suede or whatever. But now let's look at what they changed up front here. They, I feel like I'm extra zoomed in. This is my first time recording on this for like a YouTube video or whatever. So they brought this out way further. The toe, before comes here and then it splits right after, right? And here they brought it out further, and then they cut off the tip of this with this, you know, running down, and then this secondary piece. So they kind of push this back, and so you have a little bit more protection there. But also, if you look at like the baseline, there's a little bit of a spot there, but overall there's, you know, this similar baseline here where it meets the midsole, but you know, there's like as much fabric as possible from like, you know, the halfway point of your foot forward. But on here, they, you know, have a little bit, but for the most part, it's pretty well covered up. And I think that's an improvement. I think that is an improvement. Because you don't need it breathable like all over the place, especially if you have this very breathable front toe section. You know, if the front toe section is super breathable and open, which this feels like it's going to be a similar amount of breathability, then, you know, that is a lot of breathability to be, you know, squishing out water or what have you. So now we go back to here and we see that they did change something, right? This material is not that thick nylon like it was before. Or, you know, whatever material this is. It's just like incredibly durable. And they changed the loop design so you can get a finger in it and pull up, but it's, you know, tighter now to get your finger in there, but it is like kind of deeper, whereas in this one it's like more shallow to get your finger in. But you know, it's easier to grab, so we'll see which ends up being better there. The back, they changed the design up some, so this is, you know, kind of more, I don't know, because it's like kind of similar, right? But this like comes out with intention, I would say, right? Let me feel it. There's definitely a heel counter in there. That is tough. So that should hold up, you know, equally as well or better. You know, I can pinch and feel. Now this is worn, right? Where this, you know, it's probably equally as thin, but man, that is hard pushing on that. So we'll see. The tread, or midsole design, I mean, is very similar in the back. The sides, it's all pretty similar. They got rid of this stupid little flap. I never understood the point of that. I tried, you know, gluing it down a couple times and stuff. Now they just don't have it, which is cool. I don't know why they ever had it. It's one of the first things that happens that makes your shoe look incredibly shitty. The lacing, now going back, something I didn't notice and point out, but they went from just holes that, you know, feel like you might eventually rip through them with these like retainers or whatever, fabric now, to replacing those with the like eyelets or what have you, reinforced. But they only reinforced those middle two, which, you know, it's interesting. And then it went from that to, now there's no little middle thing here, which was in the previous two for some reason. I don't know why or how important that is. They went back to this like nylon reinforced loop there, and then nothing for the rest of them. But they went with a more traditional lace, right? This is like super traditional feeling. You know, hard to tell if it's like cotton or nylon or whatever. Or, these are the shoes I've been buying for years now, like 5 years or something. So, you know, who knows what everyone else is doing in the lace world. The bottom rises up a bit more on these with like you know, bottom sole slash midsole. Yeah, I feel like that's just kind of color difference here. Oh, it's not even color. Yeah, yeah. So that's the sole. So the sole rides up here into the midsole at the front way more. So I'm wondering if that's to help give even more support to that edge there. As you see, you know, it can get kind of beat up. And what's fascinating is, like, I'm not reviewing these for trail running, right? I'm reviewing these as just like a super solid alternative to a work boot, because in my line of work, I didn't feel like a work boot was necessary. And, you know, being kind to your feet is incredibly important. So here you can see what the, oh wow, yeah, no wonder I stopped wearing these, you know what I mean? Look how far I've worn this tread down. Assuming the tread was about as deep as on these. It looks like they might have gone a little deeper, maybe. Who knows? But, you know, you can definitely tell from wear pattern, like, I'm wearing out that section. Let's see, since I did grab different pairs. Wonder if that's part of why my one foot's are hurting a little bit today. Which is not normal. My feet don't normally hurt when I wear these shoes. But, you know, could be laced up a little tighter or different or whatever. But then also, look, you know, since I did mix match, you know, a left from this pair and a right from that pair, this is not worn down nearly the same. It's also left and right, so, but yeah, I'm wondering if maybe that's just a huge dumb mistake of an idea there. Even the color looks a little different, like they've been baked by the sun different amounts or something. Oh yeah, so I'm getting off track here. This is a way longer video than I anticipated. Yeah, so this is the same, which is great. That's fantastic. I think that's all you really need. Yeah, it looks the same basically, which is a little unfortunate because, you know, this will pick up a little bit of mud, but overall, you know, it's fantastic. They put these cuts in it, so it, you know, when you start breaking it in, it'll bend. Nice. It does make me kind of curious though, right? Like, what if you're a trail runner, what is your experience going from 5 to 6 to 7, right? Like, are these improvements for you as well, or are they not? I was looking at other options before buying these. You know, maybe I can find, because the Reeboks I used to be able to get at like 30, 35 bucks, something like that, on a more regular basis. And I was having, you know, I wouldn't say problems, but like I was seeing that wasn't really possible with the ASICS. You know, they would never get as cheap, even though they would come and go with, you know, the styles and whatnot. And so I was wondering, like, you know, do they have a similar one that's cheaper, right? Like, is there a 8 wide or whatever it is they order? You know, and so I started looking at their different shoe offerings, and what was funny was, I think it's like gel or something, but there's like, you know, this whole line of shoes in this one specific, you know, classification, like whether it was trail running or just like men's, and then putting gel in the search bar or something like that, and they were all super similar looking. Even though the prices would vary wildly, and I thought that was like kind of crazy, especially because a lot of them, it seemed like they were potentially not built as strong as these, yet if you check the weight on them, the weight was higher. So it's like, what are you getting then? If you're getting like a potentially less durable shoe that costs more and it weighs more, like, what's the point? You know what I mean? So that was a fascinating little couple days of research there, looking at alternatives, and to think that I just kind of stumbled onto these, you know, on Amazon. So, you know, maybe if I got some pairs of the other ones and tried them out, like, maybe some of them have a much different situation as far as, you know, the squish factor or something, or if you were running, or the durability of the You know, I don't know, actually. I have no idea. I assume I would have to start running in them and then kind of testing them from the perspective of what they're designed for, maybe? I don't know. Because, I mean, trail running, like, they're just rocks and shit. Like, yeah. Anyways, I should probably just cut this ending part off. Yeah, so we'll see how this uploads to the internet. From just, a straight up recording on the iPhone without using the YouTube Studio or anything like that.